Alright, it's about time you found out how to get into Krump. Now there are many questions that I get often asked as far as the what to do's, the where to do it, what is the foundation. Maybe you're in a position where you're learning, you're getting everything down, but you're at a stopping point, like we have no idea exactly what to do next. Or maybe you've been given too much information and so you don't know exactly what's the right move or the wrong move, or because you have so many gems in your head, you don't exactly know if you're going to be doing everything right. That ends today. Last Friday, I hosted 2 free classes to explain not only the foundation of Krump, but a lot of hidden gems that not a lot of teachers discuss. It's one thing to get the knowledge and then be pushed to experience it. It's another thing to be able to monitor the same experiences and also be able to shape your own. I'm not going to use this time to talk down on anybody because that's not what this is about. This is mostly about how you are going to be able to move forward into your own journey in Krump and be able to expand on any ideas you see fit and feel confident and comfortable in them. So I'm going to give you the rundown of everything along with some screenshots of everything that we went through in that class today. So be sure to have your notes ready to take all the stuff that we're doing, all the information that I'm giving you to feed into your foundation and to be able to give you the fresh start that you're probably looking for to have endless creativity and endless options. Now there are a few bonus things that only the people who took the class are able to know about, but eventually in the future, you'll be caught up to speed when we get to that point. All right, I think we're done being held up. Let's get into it. Now, what many people don't know about Krump is that Krump is an acronym. Krump stands for Kingdom, Radically Uplifting, Mighty Praise. So although a lot of people are going to look at the physical aspects of this dance, there is a spiritual sense in this dance. Notice that I said spiritual and not religious. You don't necessarily have to believe in God in order to be a Krumper. Essentially, you're putting your pain, your emotions, and your energy into a positive driving force for hope and creativity. And it doesn't have to be negative. So keep in mind that Krump is a mental and spiritual battle before it gets physical. If you choose not to believe in anything, which is also okay, at least choose to believe in yourself. Because if you don't, it's safe to say that Krump will not be working for you long term. Now this is a topic that needs to be talked about more often, and that's the freeballing versus freestyling. What is an actual freestyle? A lot of people talk about, yeah, like I'm freestyling all the time. I'm just doing whatever my mind thinks of, not knowing that those two mean completely different things. Krump is relatively a freestyle dance like all other dance styles, and to be able to apply a freestyle is to utilize your foundation. The term of going with the flow and, I'm just going to move because I feel it at the moment. I just want to feel free and I just want to just let my body go on its own. That term is called freeballing. Freestyle, by definition, is freedom in a style. So you're taking your foundation and you're building a confidence in them so that you can control them at ease. You can think outside of them, but always be able to apply those foundations whenever you see fit. The best thing I can say is the less you have to think about your basics, the more those basics are actually put into your freestyle. So if I have to think about a jab, I'm sorry to say, but that's not going to be in my freestyle. But if I don't have to think about a jab and I can just do it, that's my freestyle. In Krump, that term is called a get off. Which begs the question, how can I get off? That brings us to the what to do and where to do it. Let's talk about the lab. The lab is where you train. This could be your room, out with a friend, taking a class, having a mentor around to do a private lesson or some sort. These are all different forms of lab. You can drill and upgrade your foundations. You can ask questions. You can be uncomfortable. You can build ideas. You can plan combos. You can gather material. You can structure your muscle memory. And you can do this all judgment free. The base of each lab, however, should be filled with intention. I say this quite often, don't lab just to lab. Don't create just to do it, just to say you're gonna do it. Utilize the way that your mind is working, utilize the no judgment space, and be able to know that whatever it is that I think of, whatever cool idea that I bring up, or whatever I want, it's going to go somewhere. Otherwise, you're wasting time, energy, and probably a completely open idea that can bring yourself so much more. So don't take advantage of the lab. As far as the types of lab, we have your solo lab. This is just you by yourself in your room. You're the type to do it in your room, obviously. So that's where you lab and you get to create again freely, and the only person judging you is yourself. Then we have labbing with a friend. You and your homie want to create some stuff and maybe bounce ideas off each other. Super good to communicate, to help out, maybe make your ideas make a little bit more sense from a different perspective. I love being able to have a homie to go to and be like, yo, let me bounce this idea off you and let's see what works. You have your private lab with a mentor. Some people have a big homie. Some people have a designated higher ranked individual in their community that can basically give them a couple tips, a couple tools, and maybe even a couple ideas that you can expand on by yourself or on your own time. Super helpful as well. Obviously, if you trust them as a valued member, super, super cool to be able to have an extra hand in your creativity from somebody who's already been through it. So, cool thing as well. You have your group labs. Group labs, you got yourself a friend group. Maybe you guys all want to dance and figure some stuff out together. You guys all want to create and bounce ideas off each other. Again, it just takes that, labbing with a friend idea and just expands it. All right. If you think that 2 people can create a lot, imagine what 8 people can create when you're all working together. So things like that, super, super helpful. Now, lastly, classes. Now, most classes are structured, so you don't exactly get a say in what is going to be done in a class. You don't get to say, hey, I want to lab on this, and then the entire class is going to be based off of that. It's usually based off of the structured plan of the teacher. So you're labbing on things that they're basically giving you the information for. It's super helpful, once again, especially if you know what you're about to walk into. I would say for some people who are teaching classes on specific things, ask them what they're going to be learning. Asking a couple of ideas of things that you're going to be working on, and it's going to help you dictate exactly if this is going to be something that you want to join in, because you have that space. Don't just learn just to learn. Once again, you want to learn because he has something that you can utilize, that you can train, that you can work on, that they're now providing another perspective on for you to be able to get it down better. Now, when you set up your group lab, when you set up your lab with a friend, you have a private lab with your mentor, or you do your classes, oftentimes those 4 things do have a time that is already set and directed. But often I see a lot of people who have no idea when they should be labbing for themselves. When they're doing their solo lab, it's kind of like, if I got free time, if I got whenever it is that I feel necessary, or maybe I'm just feeling cool at the moment, I'm gonna just do it because I feel like it. I would say that is going to be very counterproductive. It makes you feel like motivation has to be your only factor, and discipline is not exactly something that you can hold yourself accountable for. So I personally would say, set a time for your lab. Make sure that you have a time frame that you're going to be working on, whether you have a free 30 minutes or if you have a free hour. Set a time for your lab. You got to be able to say, this is exactly how long I'm going to be here. This is exactly how much I want to do. This is what I'm going to be walking into. Let's set a time frame so that you're always meeting your requirements as far as how you're going to grow and building on that. Another critical note is to create and manage your ideas via notes or via videos. Another critical tip is to create and manage your ideas via notes or videos. I prefer notes over videos. However, it's based off of your preference. I don't knock videos at all, because obviously for videos you can go, okay, I know the idea about what it looks like. I can see it, and this is how it looked. Okay, cool. I can always reference it. Notes for me makes it easier because then I can jot down piece by piece, play by play, exactly what the move is going to look like. It takes me about maybe 5 minutes to kind of look over everything and try it out before I can have it already rewound back into my head. It's like creating a save point, if you would, over the stuff that you're doing. So if you play video games, you'll know exactly what I mean. You don't want to go based off of the checkpoints that the game offers you. You want to be able to save it on your free time whenever you feel the necessary to, and be able to start from where you left off. So that's why it's always good to keep records of the things that you're working on and be able to manage that very wisely for the future battles, future events, future sessions even. It's really, really helpful. And lastly, this is a pro tip here. Aim to session with your ideas. This goes back to what I was saying on don't lab just to lab. Aim to actually put work and application into this stuff, but not straight into your battles. Okay, don't train and then instantly go to battle. When I say you train and lab, you lab to session, lab to test, lab to test yourself before you try to work on, putting it up against somebody else. All right. A lot of individuals feel the need to, we're just gonna try this out. All right, cool. It looked dope. Now I'm gonna go throw it at somebody. And oftentimes you're not gonna remember what you just did. So keep that in mind. This is a little pro tip here. We're going to know a little bit more about it when I talk about sessions, but aim to session with these ideas. All right. Come to try them out so that you can see if it works and if it doesn't. If you're not aiming to session with these ideas and test them out for real, you have no idea if they're actually going to make it work for you. So please try that. Speaking of that, let's go into sessions. Sessions are the heart of Krump. as clear cut as I can say it. That's where all the Krump happens. As far as battles, that's great. As far as the lab, that's by yourself, that's for your growth. But when it comes to the sessions, this is where it is you and the community, this is you and the Krump world really coming together. This is where you test out your lab. I know it feels comfortable to just free ball and kind of get ideas going and be like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. It's counterproductive. Like I said, once again, it's like labbing to lab. You shouldn't just session and not utilize anything that you're building, not utilize anything that you're creating from. I wouldn't say to save your lab for anything outside of the session. You'll get what I mean in a second. Now you can still create, you can still, try things, but this time you're focusing on utilizing your lab. You're focusing on seeing what works and what doesn't. You should also aim to get rid of doubt in your ideas. We've all been there to where you've tried something and you were like, I have no idea if this is going to feel good, and you don't have confidence in your moves. You start to look down a lot more. You start to feel like, all right, I have to try and focus, and it makes you lose your control. So to be able to stay on top of yourself, stay on top of your confidence, aim to session with these ideas so that you can get rid of the doubt in your ideas. This is also going to help you build your memory so that you can access your lab easier. Like I said, on aiming to get rid of doubt in your ideas, the session is also for confidence building. So not only are you building confidence in your lab, but sessions are good for building confidence in yourself. Sure, when you go over to your lab, you'll be able to train your confidence. You train how you're going to look up. You're going to train how you're going to figure it out. Train how you're going to approach a situation. But when it comes to being in a session, this is where you actually build that confidence. Instead of it just being something that you're fabricating for the moment, you're building the awareness. You're building being able to say, I can look at you and know exactly what I'm trying to do. And the key factor is your mind and how much you're willing to unlock with it. If you're not willing to test your mind, none of your ideas will last. I promise you. After every session, you should analyze and go back into the lab. That's right, I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for this one. Going in from lab to session to battle has been a lot of people's normal day-to-day situation. We go lab, we go session, and then we go into the battles. Now that, once again, based off of what the information that I've given you guys so far, that is something that is also going to be counterproductive. There should be more back and forth between the lab and the sessions than the anything else. You shouldn't be labbing to go to the battle and miss the session. You shouldn't be going to the sessions and then you go straight to the battles. A lot of the links in terms of how things go, it should be like one to the other, back and forth, and then when your idea is completely solidified, then it's ready for the battles. Your ideas should be like this every single time. The ideas that you failed could then be readjusted and then tried again. The things that were successful can be refined and completed and turn into actual moves. For me, I name my moves. I name them based off of not only the process, but I name them when they're done. I name them when they're the finalized version, that this is exactly how I'm going to use it now, exactly how I'm going to throw it at somebody based off of exactly all the information that I have. All right, now on the types of sessions. This is how you're going to be able to read a room. You'll be able to gauge the exact amount of pressure that you're going to be walking into, and you'll know exactly if creation is an option or if it's not. So here's a breakdown of all the types of sessions. There's your session with friends. A few friends meet up, test everything out. It feels more like a lab than a session because you have so much option to create, and you can still create as you dance. These types of sessions have no pressure. Then there are your community sessions. All are welcome. These are most definitely rookie and newcomer friendly. They do vary in size, so sometimes you'll be in a small session, sometimes you'll end up having a big session. Now, even though you can create, these are the sessions that you focus a little less on the creation factor and more on the application. So this is where you focus on testing out your lab. Battles are possible, but they're not always present. In short, community sessions, mild pressure. Then we have your elite sessions. These sessions are usually invite only, and it's a select group of high-level Krumpers. I can't stress this enough. You should not be creating, you should not be labbing during this entire session. And the worst dancer in the room oftentimes gets battled or packed out. So it's safe to say it's high pressure. Then we got battles or call-out sessions. Certain community sessions have battle nights, or like the corner session is a strict environment that is solely focused on the battles. There's a little bit of sessioning going on, but for the most part, it's mostly coming in for the battles. All are welcome, but you gotta have your final moves ready. And you gotta be prepared to battle anyone. I could call you out, You could call me out. It could be somebody at random. You have no idea if you're going to be battling or if you're not. So it's always best to be prepared to battle anyone in that room or space. Similar to elite sessions, this is not about labbing. You should not be trying to focus on labbing at these sessions. These sessions are about bringing your final moves, getting your final products, and being ready to battle. So once again, high pressure. So now that you know a specific type of pressure that you're about to walk into, it'll be very easy for you to dictate how you're going to move in these sessions if you're ever invited to them, or if you ever get told, hey, you know, come through, come be around this. These type of people are going to be there, or this is the type of crowd that we're about to be walking into. Be able to read the room and know exactly what you're going to be putting in, whether it be your lab or whether it be your actual moves that you have developed over time. A few critical tips when it comes down to sessions. And before I say them, these do not apply to high pressure sessions. Just gonna say that first. But fail often. This is for you to test out what works and what doesn't, and it's okay if things don't work out. It's all about trying everything. And I mean this because this is also gonna build your confidence in your moves later on once you do get these moves right. So it's okay if you fail. It's okay if you don't get it right at the session the first time. Go back, refine it, try it again. And if it works, you're gonna feel 10 times better about yourself. Second, try everything. If you got about 5 things that you've been labbing on, don't leave the session until you've tested out all 5 of those things. Sometimes I'm at sessions for 2 hours because I have about 30 things that I have to get out of my lab. And sometimes I'm only there to do a couple rounds, then I dip because I've gotten all this stuff off my list. Try everything. And lastly, this is probably the toughest for a lot of people to hear. Get over yourself. And don't try to look perfect. Almost every elite krumper, every person that has done amazing things in the krump community can tell you that they failed a lot. And they definitely don't see themselves as perfect. So, don't try to be. All right, lastly, let's talk about battles. Battles are the final tests. There should not be any new ideas coming out for battles. Notice I said should not, because I highly recommend it, but obviously I can't stop you. Confidence in your moves should come first before battling. So if you're not confident in your moves, that's an easy L for somebody to be able to take you up on. Only freestyle when you're out of your labbed ideas. Notice I said freestyle, not free ball. Don't just go, I'm going to move however I want. Stay in the style. Still stay true to the movements that you're doing that you have still drilled into your foundation, into your get off. And these battles are usually filmed. I would say battles are your best marketing tools. But let's go into the types of battles. All right, we got mock battles. You and a friend or an opponent meet up in battle. This is for y'all to test out each other's finalized moves. It's great for seeing how your final move looks when you're actually throwing it at somebody. It can definitely happen as often as you like. And oftentimes it's not really a win-lose situation because you guys are learning in the process. You're seeing what you guys are feeling at that moment. And because they're finalized moves, you can gauge what really felt good and how you're going to be moving officially when you get done with your moves. Song choice is usually up to you. And it's good to film so that you can take more notes on the stuff that you're doing. But I don't recommend that you post it. Last thing that you want to do is you want to post something that you've made because you're so amped to be able to throw it at somebody, and the person that you're going to throw it at knows exactly what's coming so that they can prepare for it. It's one thing to do it at sessions because you haven't had the full finalized move yet. When it comes to your battles, they know exactly what it's going to look like when it comes to them. As the analogy goes, if you know that I'm going to bring a tank, you're probably going to equip yourself with anti-tank weapons. Don't let that happen to you. Then we have session and call out battles. You call someone out or you get called out to battle at a session. Whoever called out the other person goes first. This is a chance for you to throw your finalized moves against someone else's. Now these battles are based on these sessions, so it may happen or it may not. And there's usually a definitive win, lose, or draw. Now song choice is up to the session rules. So sometimes some sessions will be like, yo, you get your battle on while the session stuff is happening and that's where you do your call out. Or they might let you be able to choose your own song for them. I know a lot of different sessions kind of work differently. So be sure to check on the session before you actually attempt to go about, making your own track to it or something like that. Make sure to film these to promote yourself. Tell your friend, grab somebody to make sure that you always have these battles on camera. These are great to get you on battle cards, get you into bigger ideas, bigger events, and be able to get invited or booked. All right, next we got tournament battles. These are a structured series of time battles for places, prizes, and rewards. Oftentimes it's a bottle or a hat toss to see who goes first, but the way I see it, if you feel like you're gonna win, you should probably try and go first. It's best to set a tone that the other person can't reach, then for you to build off of somebody else's energy to try and rebuttal. That's a sign that's showing that you need somebody else's help to win. So you throw a strategic set of finalized moves within a time frame at your opponents in front of judges. However, you don't get a chance to be in the tournament unless you pass the preliminaries. Judges will then pass verdicts following a countdown at the end of each battle. Tiebreakers are up to the tournament rules. In some cases, you'll see it to where you can go one more round if you guys have a tie, or depending on how many judges there are, there will be no ties. And song choice is up to the tournament DJ. This is a situation where you don't have choice. These are filmed to promote the community of the tournament, and they're great for you to build your brand and credibility. Alright, so let's get into event and exhibition battles. This is where you get invited or booked to battle a specific person at an event. This also goes towards you getting paid to get flown out for battle events or tournaments, getting a chance to compete for bigger prizes. These are all so many different ways that you can get booked or invited to be a part of an event. Depending on the event, it is up to the dancers on who goes first. Since we're talking purely Krump, I gotta let you in on a secret. Seniority rules. So if your opponent is from an older generation than you, then you have to go first, unless they choose otherwise. This is a sign of respect to the Krump culture and also to the people who have paved the way for you to be able to dance the way that you are able to. Now, unlike most of these battles where I've been telling you guys have finalized moves that you guys are throwing at your opponent and you can kind of like gauge, pick and choose. Since these are events, these are some of your biggest selling opportunities in terms of how people are going to perceive how you really approach full rounds. Not just a couple moments here and there, but to actually engage into a full round of detail. So you only deliver your finalized rounds at your opponent. Now, unless an error occurs into the event, this battle is guaranteed and promoted as such, and you should be taking your part in promoting as well if you're a part of it. Please promote if you're going to be a part of an event. I don't want to be the only person who's on top of being able to promote myself and the event accordingly. We are all pieces of the puzzle when it comes to making an amazing event. Now, there is a judgment based off of the critics and established members of the community, and it may not happen right then and there. So you might get told later on that you lost a battle and you thought that you won at the moment. That's completely normal, and you can't take yourself harshly on that. It just means you were not prepared. Song choice is yours, and I highly suggest that you try not to dance to a song that you don't know. This is another counterproductive strategy that many have, that they feel like they're freestyle, they feel like their moves are good enough to work with anything, so where they haven't exactly tried it with everything. And so if this is a song that you don't really know that well, if you can't hit the musicality, you know exactly where the beat is, if you can't bounce to it, if you don't know exactly how to ride the beat the way that it's supposed to be moving, if you can't do none of these things, don't try to use that beat for your battle, especially for an event. This is somebody who put their time in to make sure that you got what you needed and promoted as such, as somebody who is going to bring their A game. And if you don't know what you're dancing to, that's a very C+ average move, if that makes sense. It's a rookie mistake than as somebody who knows what they're doing. These are usually filmed and displayed throughout YouTube and many other platforms as well. It's for the world to enjoy just as much as it's for the actual judgments to really get pressed on and passed. And best of all, they're great for marketing yourself to battle at more events. You can actually become a battle guest or battle judge for multiple other events after displaying such a creative and such a great round. If you bring your A game, there's oftentimes that your A game is going to be asked for quite often. And so utilize this to promote yourself accordingly. All right, and last thing that we're going to go through is packouts. Packouts don't happen as much as they used to, so a lot of people don't have an appreciation for this. But me, especially when I started in Krump, I got packed out a lot. So I have a heavy appreciation for this type of battle. This is a battle where there's one person versus multiple people. Like I said before, elite sessions have this vibe where they're like, hey, we're all some pretty sharpened swords right now and yours is looking pretty dull. We gotta tighten you up real quick, because if not, then you're gonna be slacking more than anybody else. And we can't have that. You're gonna bring our energy down and dull us. So let's sharpen you up. And I've also seen this in reverse. When I've seen reverse packouts where it was like one person was like, hey, I'm really on my P's and Q's, and every single one of y'all look like y'all slacking. So we gotta run the rounds, everybody. I'm about to sharpen up little by little on every single one of y'all. I've seen that happen in many cases. I've gotten my fair share of being on both ends. So I've seen it happen in the best way possible, and I've also endured it in the worst way possible. So believe me when I say it's a blessing and a curse to be in a pack out. There is no time limit for this. You're battling until each side is satisfied. So regardless of whether you feel like you did enough, sorry, it ain't gonna be enough if the other side thinks that it ain't enough. So you just got to keep going. You got to keep enduring. And if your body can manage, especially if you're that one, you keep going strong regardless. It's a big, 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 big mental and spiritual battle before it gets physical. So you got to be able to say, hey, everything that I'm doing is Krump, regardless of how long I've been dancing in this battle. As long as 4, 5, 6 rounds in, if you're still able to say, yeah, I did everything foundationally correct. I still was able to, even when I freestyle, everything still connected. Everything still made sense the way that I made it and the way that I labbed on it. That's how you know that you have a pretty solid foundation when you go down to pack outs. Now, before you start, when it comes down to Krump, just like any other dance style, you have to know that there's a posture, there's a way that you have to carry yourself when you're doing this dance style, at least initially. And then there's also a language to it. There's a way that we like to speak to each other. There's a way that we like to dance that makes it to where people can understand we're utilizing Krump. And you guys are about to know exactly what to do. The posture is a little bit more hunched over. It's not exactly one of those upright and we're in ballet kind of, uptight movements here. We're a little bit more on that draggy kind of rugged vibe. We want to make sure that all of our moves, we have a lot of freedom, and the more intensity that we can kind of apply to it, we have those levels with our posture. Then for our language, we have our talking hands. This is what's going to apply direction. We're trying to tell people where the stuff is happening at. So we don't just talk and say, look here, look here, look here, look here, look what I can do over here. We're trying to tell people this is where you're going to be looking. This is where the next idea is about to happen. This is where my creativity is about to start, or where my power is going to go into. Speaking on the creativity side of things, the next is our liveness. All right. This is how we discuss what it is that we're working with. Now, we've obviously told people where, we're giving them the direction, but now we can tell people exactly what it is that we're using. How heavy is it? Is it a shape to it? Is it a specific way that you have to hold or carry it? These are the things that you get to tell people. What is it that you're using? What is it that is in your hands? All right. And then the last one is our power. Okay. Closed fist. This is where we get to show what we're doing. Okay. This is our actions. This is where we get to say, did we hit it? Did we grab it? Did we yank it? Did we throw it? These are different things that we can do to the creation of what we're making. Okay. So again, we have talking, we have liveness, and then we have our power. Now, for the sake of you guys going in through your notes, I am going to be giving you guys the layout of the entire foundation right now. So that means from P to Q, all 3 variations of just about everything in terms of the foundation. There is a couple things that I'm purposely leaving out because there are certain people that think that they're foundation when they're actually more intermediate level or advanced techniques that make you further your Krump. But in terms of the beginning, this is where the beginning is. So this is where you can copy everything down. I am not going to discuss all these things in detail, but you will be seeing tons of videos on my social media in terms of just what these are, how these are going to be applied. So this is where you guys are going to be getting the full scale. But for right now, just for the information's sake, jot down all of these things. Now, there are certain terminology that I use to make this a much more updated version in terms of how you can remember these for future reference. As far as breaking down all of these foundations, like I said, be very aware as far as other platforms that I use to make these things known. But as far as what they are, feel free to utilize this list because this has every single thing. However, this does not include the things that are outside of the foundation, like the intermediate level and the advanced techniques of Krump. I'm not teaching you guys how to be great sessioners. I'm not teaching you guys how to be great battlers right now. We are simply discussing how to build a great foundation. If you don't know what something is on this list, now you have something that you can use in your future references, or if you're trying to lab with somebody specifically or a mentor or a teacher, you can actually bring this to them and say, hey, how exactly do you find comfort in this move? How do you not think so hard about this idea or this move? And now they can give you their perspective a little bit better. So this will help them be able to help you. And as I said before, I am also giving away all the information on how I use this stuff myself via social media. You guys will be able to see me work on the basics, work on all these foundation on a consistent basis. And like I said previously, if you can do this without having to think about it, then it is officially in your get off. A clear definition of get off could be your comfortability in Krump. Always ask this question if you want to know if something is in your get off. Can you do this foundational move without having to think about it? Can it just happen? Can you think about a direction? Can you think about an idea that you want to do and your foundation back you up? If it can, that foundational tool, that foundational part is in your get off. Now, before we get into the end of this video, by all means, be sure to check out some of the stuff that I have going on in terms of future projects and future stuff that I'm doing via my stories. And then whenever I do have something heavy to drop as far as the knowledge, be sure to comment on those videos or comment to me directly to be able to let me know if this is something that you're interested in. I have a lot of projects that are coming up, so it's always good to be able to extend the offer, especially if you've gotten this far into watching this video, because it means that you're serious about your growth. But all right, let's get into style. Now, your get off is your comfortability in Krump. Your style, however, is your feeling in Krump. This is how you channel your energy. This is how you channel your emotions. This is how you start to bring that pain, bring that energy that you're feeling, and be able to display it effectively within your foundation. Because now I can say, yeah, I'm raw. Yeah, I'm sad. Yeah, I'm evil. Yeah, I'm slick. I'm catty. I'm mean. I'm animalistic. I'm crazy. I can say that I'm all these things via Krump, without having to go and take it onto a negative route. So in order for you to be able to comfortably put your emotions into something, you should be able to get off. You should be able to freestyle. You should be able to comfortably say, my foundation is going to back me up no matter how good I feel, no matter how bad I feel, no matter if I feel nothing. I still have that comfortability in my Krump. So style is where you get to add all the extra details in terms of how you feel when you're getting off. Now, we've talked about the lab as far as gathering material, but I know you probably had this question before. What is material? In short, material is anything that can portray ideas. That means anything that your mind is thinking of. It can be a movement, it can be an idea, it can be a peace of mind, it can be a gesture, it can be anything that you're trying to convey a thought. That is material. If I'm thinking no and I shake my head, that's material. If I'm thinking, oh my God, a box, that's material. If I'm thinking, look at that, that's material. Any type of gesture, any type of thing that portrays an idea, anything that takes outside of your Krump and says, now I'm using my mind to think about an idea and do it, that's material. I will say that material and get off are not the same. Your foundation and your comfortability in your foundation is always going to be one thing, but material, just because you have material doesn't mean your foundation is correct. And the same thing, just because you have your foundation doesn't mean your material is working. So always remember that these things can go hand in hand, and they're really, really good when you can blend them together, but they are not the same thing. You can't throw Krump terminology at me and say that's material. No, it's when you're portraying ideas and your foundation can back them up. That's why it's really, really good to focus on your foundation first before you focus on your material. Now that you've gone through everything that is about the foundation, let's finalize it by just going through a few things that might help you out in terms of just building your confidence in yourself. So for confidence, look up. I know you've heard this. This is a very cliche dancer thing. Yes, look up. Make sure that you're looking up and looking out. But I want to tell you why. When you do this, you're displaying that you know your body and your Krump. You know how you want to move, you know how you feel, and you can do that without having to think so hard on it while looking down. Now, I know you're hearing to look up all the time, but there is a way for you to be able to look down. That is to look at your work. As I'm looking at you right now, if I was to look down, it would show that I'm not confident in the things that I want to say. So even though I'm saying them, even though it's making sense to you and things are going about it to where you can understand it, it doesn't look believable because my eyes are not focusing over on you. So to be able to look down, you create a focus point behind it. Now, I say look at your work because you can show what you're doing, but you can also make it to where you can look right back up, no problem. Don't look down unless there's something down there for you to look at. So your work is your focus point. Now you have all this information. How are you going to build it into your muscle memory? Well, that's with combos and drills. You drill things to make it to where your muscle memory can get the idea of a move that you're doing down. You can drill it by itself, or you can drill it through combos and sequences later on, but drills are purely for your muscle memory's sake. Combos are when you start to piece them up in sequences to make it to where you can easily remember them. This is for your memory's sake. So maybe I know how to do this specific move, but when I actually get out to session or battle with it, I have no idea how I'm going to remember that move that I drilled so hard on. This is why you build the sequence around it. You build the combo that is going to make you feel like, I know how I'm going to throw this. And now that you know all this information, I have one last thing that I would like to say. Keep it Krump. Don't focus on trying to be clever. Don't focus on trying to look cool. Don't focus on the perfection aspect of what it's going to look like for you, but always make sure that what you're doing is Krump. You have the entire foundation, so there should be no reason to why you're looking over at somebody else and trying to get them to validate your Krump. This is how you can validate your own and be able to say everything that I'm doing is Krump. Now, you obviously have all this information, but why am I asking you to take notes? This is for writing your ideas down, building your character, your arsenal, and how you're going to be able to manage where you're at in Krump. You can remind yourself of the things you make, and when they're finalized moves, you can name them. And if you did with blacking out while you're dancing, this is a powerful tool that can guarantee that you can change it. So why not start now? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to check me out on social media, and I'll see you guys next time.